Guys, real quick, thank you so much for watching this episode. In today's video, we will be sitting down with Damian. I recently took him out to beyond 1,000 meters. His first time ever shooting. That video is live on the channel. Next time you're thinking about upgrading your skill with regards to precision rifle or low development, please consider shopping our courses. They're all linked down below this video. With that being said, let's jump into the episode. I think it's going to be very valuable for you guys. We sort of wove in between business, entrepreneurship, fitness, shooting, all of those things. It was a fun one, and I'm honored to have Damian on the podcast. Enjoy. Such a lekker tune.
So lekker.
No. Every time I play this tune, I get in the mood. But usually I'm by myself. Guys, welcome back to another episode of the podcast. It is the first time ever we have a guest in the studio. Mr. Damian Schechter is here. He is my body composition coach, and I thought we would have a lovely conversation today just about sort of performance coaching, how that translates to whatever sport you may be doing, and also mental capacities in business and all of those things. So I thought it could be a little interesting convo, and Damian recently joined us on our first trip to the range, or his first shooting experience ever, which was a fat jaw. So we'll talk a little bit about that. Welcome to the show, bud.
Dude, good to be here.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for having me.
So give the guys just, I've obviously informed them a little bit of sort of what your vibe is. Originally from Cape Town. Now you're sort of a bit of a nomad, if you will, move around the world.
Yeah. So I lived overseas for the past 4 years, originally from Cape Town. Did 10 years of personal training down in Cape Town, and then took the business overseas, registered the online coaching company in Dubai about 3 months ago, and that's where I'm currently based at the moment.
Okay, so obvious question from my side. This is obvious, but I want some background on this. Why does one decide to register a company in Dubai without smirking too much?
Yeah, well, I'll just call the spade. You know, there's obviously zero tax obligations. I registered the business in an economic free zone. So, there's no tax. Obviously, there is corporate tax if you're earning over a certain amount per year. So that is something that I'm going to obviously have to address over the next few months. But other than that, it's a great place. People are friendly. It's a first world offering. Like, the food is good. Everyone speaks really good English, and there's just a really good international community there, which I think it's quite exciting. If you're from South Africa, you don't know what it's about until you find yourself there.
Yeah. Okay, lekker. So I've heard, obviously there's some benefits being there tax-wise, but the living expenses is super high.
Yeah, it's unbelievably high.
So you give and you get a little bit.
Yeah, like you work like an absolute animal to afford like a pretty good life.
Okay.
Yeah.
And from sort of a networking perspective, how's that been? Because obviously, if we're remotely on social media, you'll see like a lot of these big fitness influencers, they stay almost in Dubai as like a bit of a hub, if you will.
Yeah, it's a little bit of a stopover zone. I think you don't really ever like go there to spend the rest of your life there or retire there. But a lot of the fitness influencers, what you do see is what you get, right? So, when I went there, I was like, okay, I'm just going to stay in my lane, just go to gym, go and do this, like go and do my own things. But then the networking opportunities are absolutely massive because, these people that I've been following online for the past 10 years, they're all in Dubai and they're living like this certain lifestyle. And all of these guys are now my friends, but they're normal people. But they just do really well with business and they just live a really good life, So for me, I think one of the moments where I was like, oh my gosh, I'm in Dubai was being on a jet ski and just cruising around the marina with the sun going down with the Burj Khalifa. And I was like, wait, you don't need to be this Instagrammable, 500,000 follower, account holder to live this life. It's actually really, really possible. You just have to put yourself in the right place with the right people. Dubai seems to be that place for me.
Okay, lekker, man.
Yeah.
And how's it been? You've obviously been home now for home being Cape Town. Well, how's that adjustment sort of been? Because sometimes, I love South Africa, but the service here with restaurants and stuff is not always on par with how it is internationally. Obviously, there are some exceptions to that. I mean, there's lots of amazing places, but the average place kind of doesn't really do what they need to be doing. How's that adjustment been, or is it not really something you've noticed?
It's a humbling experience coming back here, but this is always home. And my friends, my family, everything that I know that I've been brought up with, it's here. So, it's been a little bit of an adjustment coming back because everything in Dubai is just really easy. You want something at 2:00 in the morning delivered to your house, it's there in 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Anything. You've got the app with 1,000 things to choose from, and it will be there in 5 minutes. So you kind of find yourself living in a bit of a bubble there, you know, where like everything is just handed to you. And yeah, sure, maybe it's a little bit more expensive, but like I don't go somewhere to work hard to spend less. Like that's the lifestyle that I want to afford. That's how hard I'm going to work. Coming back here with an exchange rate, it's a little bit of a weird experience. You know, you go out for dinner, and like I don't want someone to get the wrong idea of, you know, me coming back here and being happy to pay for like everyone at the dinner table. But the reality is that when you are coming back here with a foreign currency, it's a lot more affordable to live lavishly here. Taking that aside, like taking the money thing aside, I've realized that me being in Dubai, I'm very isolated. So as much as I have like a really nice circle of people around me and like really successful, driven, talented people, they don't have the khias.
Okay.
That's it.
Something's missing.
Something's missing.
Yeah.
And there's like that support doesn't exist. I come back here and like, it doesn't matter if you're rich or poor, like South African to South African, you're always going to be able to just have like a cool conversation, you know, and that makes me feel good. Like that makes me enjoy coming back. Sure, there's inadequacies in society of like poor delivery, service delivery, you know, maybe it's just not safe. You know, things don't really work as optimally as they do overseas, but take that aside, like, because that doesn't really matter. Like what matters is like human interaction with each other. And I think South Africa is still probably the best place in the world for that, to be honest.
Something I have to commend you on, we've spent quite a bit of time together, you know, in the last couple of weeks. And something that really struck me about you is the way you treat other people, like random people, gas
For sure.
Station attendant or the person behind the till or something. Just the way you interact with them is really something, like, I admire that a lot.
It's important to just show people respect. And I think being overseas, you don't see that. So, you know, there's no tipping culture overseas. Like whatever the bill is, that's what gets paid. Someone won't expect a tip because...
You haven't spent a lot of time in America, have you?
No, I'm assuming there's not a lot of tipping culture there.
Oh my Lord, they'll ask you for a tip if you order coffee at Starbucks.
Oh, okay.
It's nuts.
Yeah, interesting.
Which is an ass burner, by the way, coming back to the whole currency thing, because the coffee is $80 and now they want to get tipped for the coffee, which is... So in their culture, it's quite
that's
significant.
But it doesn't exist overseas really. Like the tipping culture doesn't.
Like
so
in Europe and stuff.
So for me, like if I go overseas, I will tip regardless. I don't care. You know, but it's things like that. It's just things like asking someone how their day is, and just, I mean, it's normal. It's just normal stuff. Like someone could be having a really shit day, and like you just asking them how it's going is just a nice thing to do. You know.
So I had an experience like that. You know, we all get caught up in our sort of worlds. With our problems, but in comparison to somebody else, there'll always be somebody with bigger problems than you. And I was having like this really bad day, and I was driving to fill up petrol, and I was pulling into the petrol station, and this petrol attendant came up to me and he's like, "Dude, I like your car." I was driving, I don't know, I think I was driving the Porsche Cayenne, which and the petrol, because I always go back to the same station, and he knows me, he knows I've got the old Land Cruisers, and so he was like chatty Cathy the soak. And I was kind of like deep inside going like, why don't you just like, I just want to pay for my fuel and leave.
Yeah.
And I sort of took a breath, decided to listen, and the guy turned my whole day around. Okay. And I went like from, if he can be so positive with all the challenges he's facing in his life, like who the hell am I to worry about some kind of odd thing? In fact, today, 2 years later, I don't even remember why I was upset that day. It's trivial stuff. Long story short, I saw the positive reaction that I had that day to my interaction with the petrol attendant. And now he works for me at my warehouse.
Unreal.
Because I kept going back there, and I said to him, one day there'll be an opportunity for you to be more than a petrol attendant. And Godfrey's been working for us for a couple of months now already, and he's crushing it. So it's super cool. So Godfrey, if you're listening, thanks for changing my day around. Guys, you're watching the Impact Shooting Show. I'm on a journey to become the most well-rounded shooter and hunter that I can possibly be. And I'm documenting my journey along the way. I'm sharing some of my wins, and I'm sharing my mistakes that I'm making in this process so you don't have to make them. So if you find any value in what we're doing, please make sure you're sharing our videos with your mates, you're liking, you're commenting, and you're subscribing, because that really helps grow the channel, which in turn pays it forward to our fellow shooters. With that said, let's get back to the show. And I'm not going to lie, about 3 days in, I was standing in the shower and I was thinking to myself, I don't know how I'm going to be able to do this.
Right.
But then throughout our sort of coaching process, the result I got, for me at least, I felt, and I've documented this well on the channel for anybody that hasn't seen that, there's a video on my transformation on the channel. I was blown away with what we were able to achieve there. So going forward, I know a lot of people signed up with you as a result of sort of you working together with me, and it's been phenomenally successful for everybody.
For sure.
In fact, I was speaking to Ant 2 days ago
Okay,
or so.
fantastic.
On my birthday, I was speaking to him about some training
Man's
stuff
a legend.
and watches and things. So, Ant, you'll probably be watching this. But yeah, so what is sort of your process of working with guys? It's very exclusive. Obviously, you can't spread yourself too thin because otherwise the product, for lack of a better description, will also suffer. So tell us a little bit more about that, and then we'll talk about how that sort of translates to everyday life or sports performance and stuff like that.
So, I come from 10 years of personal training experience. And that was 10 years of being on the floor and 10 years of selling time, right? So I kind of hit like a little bit of a ceiling here where it was like, okay, I really want to work with more people, but I can't. And so, COVID happened, and it was kind of like a right place at the right time where I wanted to expand. I wanted to branch out to myself. And, the company that I was working for essentially said, we need to take all of these clients online overnight, deliver world-class results. And I had never done anything online. I didn't know anything about marketing. I didn't know anything about systems, onboarding, client retention. Working online is a completely different thing to in-house, because I think a lot of people, when they go to a personal trainer, they rely on that person to be there waiting for them. Otherwise, if I, as a personal trainer, say I'm going on holiday for a week, chances of you actually going and training by yourself, maybe you will, but the chance of you knowing what to do as well is pretty minimal, right?
Yeah.
Because you're on this like autonomous mode where you're just relying on me to take you through these sessions, and you're not really being educated on what muscle groups, why are we doing this, what are the target areas. So anyways, going into the online coaching realm, it was very difficult in the beginning. I think I'd already been doing it for about 6 months before you and I had met. But that doesn't take away from the 10 years of experience that I've got. So, I was utilizing a lot of my knowledge to now have to educate people instead of just being there for them for 3-4 times a week. So the online coaching was, essentially put together to help people in a very similar position to, the demographic that I essentially come from, where I haven't always been in good shape. Like I did start training when I
find that suspiciously hard to believe.
No, so I come from no shape. Let me just put it like that. Okay, so,
For the guys that are just listening, Damian is in ridiculous shape. It's nuts.
Now,
currently.
After 10 years. After 10 years. But,
it shows you what consistency does, right?
Dude, it's all about consistency. And I basically just want to really help people along the exact same issues that I had, right? Because I didn't have any guidance. I didn't have any support. I didn't have any knowledge or any structure when I started training. And had I been equipped with all those tools in the beginning, the first 4 or 5 years of my training would have been completely different. Where I would be now would be completely different. I would have had 4 or 5 years like ahead of the game. So the most important thing is education. I think it's also, helping people understand why they're doing something instead of just giving you a plan, blindly following it, hoping that it works, because there is no one size fits all. It's literally, it's not possible. So in regards to my coaching service, it is a very personalized thing. I could branch out to 1,000 clients. Sure, I can do a cookie cutter program, and for some it will work. For 90% it won't, because it needs to be tailored towards the timeline, the goal, your lifestyle. For example, with you and I, if we have 8 months until the shoot at the end of the year, we've got 8 months. I need to tailor things completely different to someone that's going to download a program and expect a result in 12 weeks.
Yeah.
Right. A 12-week program online is going to be very aggressive, no room for error. You have to stay focused on your nutrition and training on the weekends. There's no flexibility with something like that. Whereas if we have 8 months, much more conservative approach. There's a lifestyle element that can be incorporated.
Is this why we opened that second bottle of wine? Because we're 8 months out from our goal.
This is why I suggested opening the third bottle of wine.
So it's what I found interesting now is I'd been training before, and we can translate this because this is the shooting show. Although I guess a lot of people would have tuned out by now because predominantly we make content about shooting, but hey, this is my channel. I can make whatever the hell I want. What I have found is I've been training my whole life with regards to fitness, and I'll sort of make a parallel to the precision rifle thing or long range shooting, if you will. But I didn't really ever have guidance as to what the hell I'm doing. I would just do the same thing over and over, and you would build complete imbalances, or you do something, slightly wrong and not focus on that sort of mind-muscle connection and be aware of what you're doing. And the same thing can happen in any sport, whether that's a golf swing developing a bad habit or a jerking trigger motion or whatever when we're doing long-range shooting. So after having trained with you for those 9 weeks, we sort of trained a little bit thereafter. Then I had my surgery on my ankle because I had a stupid running goal that you advised me not to do. I'll take that one on the chin. See, that's very adult of you not to say, I told you so.
More is not always more.
Yes. And so we took a little bit of a break, but even in that break, I still had the tools and the know-how to know, okay, cool, this is how we want to, continue training, not to go backwards. And then now we've picked things up. I'm stronger than ever. I'm maybe nowhere near as lean as I was, but I'm feeling fantastic. Guys often probably look at my sort of lifestyle and think, oh, Pete has this lekker thing where, he sits down and puts on a camera, talks a bit of nonsense, and then it just magically appears on YouTube. I cannot explain to you guys how busy my schedule is. I'm running around like crazy all the time, trying to have multiple balls in the air. It feels like chainsaws most of the time in the air, and trying not to drop one, while at the same time trying to be there for my family and spending time with them and everything. So to fit the fitness thing into that is very challenging. And that was one of the challenges that I spoke to you about. Like, I don't want to commit more than an hour a day to physical training, which is not that much. And it's quite easy to find that hour if you get up a little bit sooner, or just plan your day and not doom scroll on Instagram. So yeah, that's sort of where we are. And what I've always found is, even, before working with you, when we shoot these 2-day precision rifle matches, they're quite taxing, not only from a physical point of view, because the rifles, that thing's quite heavy, but it's not like we're doing reps, right? But from a sort of cognitive point of view too, I've always found that over a 2-day match, I'll start sort of pulling away from the competition on the second day. And I don't know if that's a result of, a physical ability, because I'm in better shape than my competition, because most of the guys, or a lot of the guys, aren't athletes in air quotes. And this was long before the YouTube channel or anything like that, because I've always liked to be in shape and to be training. But I've also noticed, like, from a cognitive point of view, that I make less mental mistakes than the average person. And that must have something to do with, being in better shape and, firing on all cylinders, where you're not making stupid little mistakes.
100%. It's, I've noticed that, let's say over the past 8 to 10 months that I've been training for the Ironman, my cognitive focus has been on another level. Business has never been better when I've been training the most, or I've had the most structure and routine. So for the past 10 years, I've been weight training consistently. I've had really good structure. I've always had a goal, a direction. Like, I knew exactly what I was doing when I was doing it. It's never been an open-ended book where, like, oh, I'll just go in today and train this, or I'll train that. There's always rationale behind my training, always. And now adding a real goal in terms of the Ironman, there's serious structure. I'm training 9 times a week, where it's 2 runs, 2 swims, 1 cycle and 1 run, and then I've got to get in 3 more weight training sessions. So I'm training twice a day, most days. So there's real structure and routine. Now, I obviously facilitate that with good nutrition and fuel, so I don't feel that there's any mental fatigue when it comes to that. It's more the fact that there's structure and there's routine, which then I carry onto my business life. And it would be the exact same thing with you, where now you've got structure and routine with your training and your nutrition, that also carries over into your hobbies, and that also carries on to business life. So it is more just the concept of having structure and routine in one area, and it definitely filters through to other areas of your life. And I think with maybe like precision shooting at the same time, if you relate that to weight training, you relate that to the amount of time that you spend in the gym, you have to be focused. You have to focus on your form. You have to focus on your breathing. You have to focus on your tempo. You have to focus on all of these things, which are the exact same things that you need to focus on when you're out in the field. Reps are what builds momentum, And so I think if you translate that also into like what you do, if you're out for 2 days, you're conditioned. Mentally, you're at least conditioned to being able to handle the high amount of reps, which would be, whatever it is that you do for 2 days straight, whether it's walking with load on your back, whether it's actually the amount of times that you sit down and you fire. Yeah, repetition is always going to essentially build a result.
Something I've been doing lately that I didn't do for a long time now, because I've kind of been out of the sort of run and gun competition scene, and I've been doing dry fire drills every night with this rifle we see behind us here, and that's essentially shooting without any ammo. So I'll literally go upstairs, find a little dot on a wall somewhere, and build my position, squeeze off one good trigger pull, click, and then break down the position over and over and over again, and I'll have a little shot timer going where I try and beat a specific par time, and that's literally just there to build repetition. Same thing when we're weight training, we're doing like a couple of warm-up sets, focus on that connection. You want to focus, you make sure you do the same thing consistently.
For sure.
Now, when it comes to online coaching, what is sort of your, I guess that the goal varies from client to client, but what is the average person that you work with? What is their goal? Because I've obviously also gone down the online coaching route. Mine is structured differently than yours. Mine is sort of, you buy the package and it gives you all the tools. And I've had some amazing results where, just last week I got a testimonial where a client, he'd never shot a precision rifle match before. He'd done my training course online, and I think he got 7th place in the US.
That's
in
unreal.
A precision rifle. You have no idea
That's
how unreal that is. If any South African gets 7th place in a match overseas, you'll walk every match here. Yeah. Like the level of competition is just so high.
Unreal.
So he did very, very well. So from your side, what is, I guess, is there a question there? I kind of phrased that.
Is there like a niche or a demographic? Or
what is the average person's goal that approaches you?
So everyone wants to. Firstly, we can always say we want to look good and, we want to look better naked, etc. The reality is it's confidence, right? Like that's what makes us feel good. Whether someone tries to paint that with a different brush and, call it something else, the reality is that we all want to feel good. We want to feel our best selves, and I know what that feels like after a decade of training. And I've also seen that the clients that do follow through with the program and do get the best out of the program, that's what they achieve, because then they'll get what they want to achieve, a really, really good physique. And then you'll say, what are you the most proud of about this whole experience? And they're like, well, I'm just feeling in a much better place. I'm healthier, I'm stronger, I'm fitter. The aesthetics is actually kind of like the last thing, but generally it's the first thing that everyone kind of comes for. I stay in my lane when it comes to doing what I'm doing. If someone says to me, Damian, I want to run a 42K marathon, I'm not your guy. Body recomposition essentially involves building as much muscle tissue as possible, dropping the body fat. So it's totally recomposition of what the body is made of. In terms of the people that do really well on the program, I don't say that it's men between the ages of 35 and 45, because the reality is you can be 35 and completely useless when it comes to the structure in your personal life, right? And the thing is, you need good structure in your personal life if you are going to be able to do well in this. It's not possible to commit to a program that you need to give your 100% to your training, your nutrition, to your hydration, but then the people at home are pulling you down. So it doesn't really matter where you are at in life. It doesn't matter male, female, whatever your occupation is. So I don't really have a demographic in that regard.
Okay.
It's more, are you ready to change your life? Are you ready to commit? Are you ready to put in the time? Because those are the things that even if you invest 5 years upfront in coaching, if you do not have certain fundamentals of your life, where you're ready to change that and you're ready to make a conceited effort to change that, then it's just a wasted experience. Yeah. And it's unfortunate because I do see this on a monthly basis. It's not, I make mistakes from an onboarding perspective when I take on clients that maybe I don't identify are not ready for the program.
Yeah.
I do obviously have a few questions that I do ask, and those are my trigger questions to actually see if I'm the right fit for you as a coach and if you're the right client for me. Because sure, you're making a financial investment, but at the same time, I'm never going to get back the time, effort, or energy that I put into this. So I do have a boundary in terms of who I take on.
Yeah.
Sometimes people do slip through and they start really strong. They're really motivated. But then their partner is the one that brings home 2 bottles of red wine at the end of every single night. And that's clearly a habit that this client needed to actually kind of consolidate and get over, but their support structure is not in the right place. So, part of the conversation that I need to have with people is your support structure actually ready to be a part of this with you? Because it's not just you, it's the people around you, it's your friends, it's your family. They're all going to be affected by this as well.
It's funny you say that, because when I initially started with you, my wife was, she's very well educated when it comes to fitness and stuff like that. But, we'd recently had a baby, life is good, yada, yada, yada. I'm walking around 5-6 kilograms heavier than I should be. And I go on this sort of crazy training program, because I had 9 weeks. So it was much more crazy than it.
Dude, we had 9 weeks.
It was nuts. And my wife initially was like, what the hell are you doing, Pete? This is going to be like torture. And then as soon as I started seeing results, she actually signed up with you too.
Yeah, that's right.
And that made it so much easier, because then, we were both in this together. It was a team effort, and she got absolutely shredded. She had full on 6-pack abs. Everything was it was great. That was very cool to have that sort of on board as a support structure.
The support structure is everything. And this really, I can't ever stress this enough. As I say, you can financially commit to as much as you want. You can hire a chef, but honestly, if your support structure is not in a good place, dude,
but it's like that with anything, whether you're starting a new business or a new job or whatever. If you don't have that, then you're going to go into a headwind.
But this also, relates to me being in Dubai, is that my work didn't change. How I work doesn't change. The things that I do to keep the business going didn't change. The people that I hung around, though, improved my level of showing up for myself. I'm hanging around people that show up for themselves. I'm hanging around people that are driven, successful, motivated. And so that rubbed off on me. And all of a sudden I did see my business improve. And I'm like, hold on, what's going on here? I've done nothing different.
It's infectious.
But it's the energy that you come in with.
Yeah.
And it's the exact same thing with being at home, with your friends, with your family. It's the energy that you all of a sudden exude. And that's going to either rub off on them, or it's the energy that they're exuding and it's going to rub off on you. So you need to surround yourself with the right people. And if it's not that easy, you're coming from decades of bad habits, and maybe your family are on a completely different page to where you are right now. You have to have that conversation with them at least, but if you're not ready to have that conversation with them, then you shoot yourself in the foot.
Yeah. It's success breeds success. And something with anything really, once you start getting results, it's so much easier to even self-motivate then too. As soon as you start seeing your face structure changing a little bit, or hey, what's this bump here? That's a bicep. It just makes it so much easier to then do the work. But it's very interesting to see your mindset, and I'm very similar in that point of view where I kind of distance myself from people that were a bad influence on me, and any bad juju energies and stuff that I get, I try not associate with that at all, because it just rubs off on you. And it's not, in Afrikaans there's a very good saying, menga met die semels en die varke vreet jou op, which is basically surround yourself with the wrong people, and then the pigs will essentially chow you.
Yeah.
But on the flip side of that, if you're with the right people, then it just makes, and from a networking point of view, it just makes 100%. Everything so much easier. So what is our plan for the rest of the morning? We're going to hit the weights.
We're going to go and have a very amazing session together. I was about to use some curse words there, but no, we're going to go and have a really good body recomposition session. So that's what you and I are basically doing now with our transformation coaching is, full body recomposition. So lots of compounds, lots of big lifts. And just really try and get as much stimulation and blood flow as possible. So I'm going to take you through a pretty strong workout this morning.
Fantastic. Where can people find you? You're at The All-Rounder, Damian The All-Rounder on Instagram.
Yes, Damian_The All-Rounder. If you want to visit the website, it is allroundercoaching.com. And you can contact me through the website. You can contact me through Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook.
The whole situation.
We're there, baby.
Okay. Now, something that I want to do is sort of from, if you're working with Damian already, or if you're planning on signing up, if you're finding him as a result of this platform, what I want to do, I've got a guy making me these really cool everyday carry coins at the moment.
Epic.
And what I was thinking of doing is doing a 1-of-1 in titanium or something exotic, because it's lightweight. And little Ronnie Coleman reference.
Lightweight, baby.
And at the end of the year, maybe, and then you can decide the person who has the best result throughout the year, then I'll send that
I love
off
that.
to anybody anywhere in the world,
Yeah.
basically.
Yeah, that's epic.
So
Let's do
one
that.
of one, I'll do a design, have it made up, and I'll perhaps do a post and tag you on it on Instagram or something
For
like
sure.
that. I think it could be
Yeah, we
very
do a little
cool.
bit of a collab, competition. Get who gets the best results at the end of the year.
Yeah.
Let's do that.
But we got to have people not jump the start.
No. Literally, I need to be smart with my onboarding.
Yeah.
But no, we'll get some good guys on board, and I think it's a really exciting opportunity to just change your life. And as I said, confidence is probably like the stain that they can't wipe off. You know?
Yeah. It I must say, just when I onboarded with you the first year, and I told my family what I spent, they said to me, "Are you insane?" Because it's a significant amount of money.
Yeah.
Especially in South Africa.
In rands, yeah.
In rands, it's a lot. But when they saw the result, it was like, WTF.
Yeah.
It was like, how did you do that?
Yeah.
My brother couldn't believe it. He, in fact, he chirped me in December. He said something to the likes of, because I didn't tell anybody I was doing this. I was kind of doing it under the radar, especially for 9 weeks, because I didn't see my family in that time because they live in another town, right? So they saw me on Mother's Day, and the next time they saw me, I was jacked. And my brother looked at me and he said, "It's like, how did you do this?" Because he was like, he'd like all 6-pack and everything.
Yeah.
He was like, "I'm going to be in better shape than you." And then that was my older brother. And then my younger brother too, he was like 20 years old, 19 at the time, like full of flipping testosterone, serving every day. And here I am running multiple businesses, crazy schedule, family, everything, and I got in really good shape. So if I can do it with my schedule and you're sort of doing 9 to 5 vibes, trust me, anybody can do this. It does take that sort of mindset of I'm committing, I'm in. Yeah. And that's the sort of same mindset I think a lot of my viewers have, because we're obsessed about this shooting thing. And if you can take that skill, and we sort of touched on this earlier too, if you can take the skill of learning a skill, which I firmly believe is a skill in itself, how to acquire new information and apply
It's no different.
Yeah. You can literally just apply that to business or fitness or family or freaking anything. And that's, I guess, the one thing where I'm still lacking on the family side, because I've got this mindset. This might be a little bit of a tangent, but maybe some of you guys can relate to this. I've got this, I'm the provider, right? Yeah. I need to make sure the house, the lights are on, the water's flowing, right? And sometimes I work too much to try and have that not get taken away from me, even though it will be fine. But I've got this always almost like a bit of imposter syndrome, that it still feels too good to be true, that it's Friday morning and we're sitting here essentially talking nonsense.
Working.
But it's work,
But dude, your demographic, the guys that follow you, the guys that, essentially I've now picked up, from working with you on the same position. So, you don't know a lot of the guys that are following you personally, but I know a lot of these guys now personally. I've got relationships with them, and I can definitely attest to the fact that 90% of them, same boat, providers, they're running big businesses here. I think a lot of your followers also, in a line of work where this is not a cheap sport either. So, they're also all trying to do their absolute best to support a sport like this, right? So, just seeing it from the other side, it's, dude, everyone is facing these problems. And they're not even problems, they're just challenges, right? They're things that, I think us as men, and I'm very kind of like, headstrong in this way of thinking, is that I do believe men should be providers. I do believe that you should take the lead. I'm not saying that women are any less or that they shouldn't take the lead either. But I feel as men, we do have a certain standard for ourselves at least. And, it depends if it's stress or if it's pressure. I think pressure is great. You thrive under pressure. Great things happen under pressure. Stress, not so much. But, being a busy person, it takes a lot out of you, but there's always room for that half an hour a day or 45 minutes a day. There is. If you divide that 20 minutes in the morning, 20 minutes in the evening, there's always a window of opportunity that you need to actually give back to yourself. Because if you, the machine, are not being fueled, are not being, tweaked and changed and made sure that you are optimizing your lifestyle, you're not going to be able to really kind of like reach your maximum potential at some point. And I think weight training and movement and health are all these things that we are so easy to neglect, but that's the fuel for the engine to run. You need that. Stress is not the fuel. It's not. It will be the fuel to get a certain place, But once you get there, dude, it's just not a good place to be when you burn out.
Dude, powerful.
Yeah.
My man.
My man. Thank you, brother.
Thank you very much for coming on the show.
It's been an absolute pleasure.
Appreciate all the time you've put in with myself, with my family, with our viewers. And I'm looking forward to seeing everybody's results. So our game plan is we're going to do sort of a South African photo shoot, everybody working with you in December sometime.
December, we're going to be doing that because it's summertime as well. So there is going to be a photo shoot that's happening in December, leading into summertime. Obviously, that's when people want to be in the best shape. That's when they're going on holiday. That's where they're going to be wanting to show off in front of their friends and their family and have their shirt off by the pool. And so it's a great time of year to work towards, because most people will say, I want to be in shape by summer. I'm like, great, that's not a date, that's not a place, that's not a time, that's like a time frame, of which then the goal setting line's a little bit blurred, right? So if you do have a shoot that someone is committed to doing, your name is on paper, you need to be there, you need to be in good shape. And if you don't put in the work, you're not going to be in good shape. You're going to look like a little bit of a silly goose.
There's no hiding.
No, there's no hiding from a camera. That's it. And I think that's also what's really motivating for some people. So, you know, I've just done a shoot now a couple of weeks ago, and I'm so proud of my guys for like pulling it together. One of my clients has lost 90 kilos.
90 kilograms?
90 kilos, and he
90.
90.
That's more than I weigh.
Yeah.
Holy
90
moly.
kilos, you know, so yeah, really, really great job to him. Another client of mine also was about 12 kilos down. Another one was about 10. So, you know, collectively there's like over 110, 15 kilos there. And it was...
just in the photo shoot.
Just in the photo shoot, all in one photo.
Crazy.
And, you know, I was just so proud of them. They were proud of themselves. It's an outer comfort zone experience. And, you know, they all walked away, I think, just with so much more than just a good physique, but that level of confidence that they can go to a swimming pool or they can go to the beach and take their shirt off. And if they are comfortable within themselves, it does not matter what anyone else thinks, because it's the journey that they've been on. So, yeah, there's going to be a photo shoot at the end of the year. You're going to be there. You're going to be in front of the camera. It's going to be a very exciting experience. We're going to have a great photographer once again, great venue. You know, this is essentially what I love doing. Like, I love coaching people, but I love that in-house experience with, like, you know, just everyone feeling energized, everyone feeling really confident and proud of themselves. That's literally why I love what I do. So that's going to be happening at the end of the year. So there's like 7 months, 8 months, 8 months, which is a realistic, sustainable time frame to get on board.
I'm like smiling with excitement.
I'm buzzing. Honestly, I love it.
Okay, well, on that note, dude, thank you very much again for coming in. Everybody, Damian Schechter in the house. It was lovely having you, and it was great to finally meet you, you know, a couple of weeks ago after 2 years of working together.
Unreal.
Very cool. Okay, is there anything you want to say to end things off?
It's just an absolute pleasure to work with you, and the experience that we did last week when we went shooting was just unreal. So I would love to do that again at some point.
Okay. One thing to note, at the end, Damian was shooting the 300 PRC, and I think in the week leading up to that, Skulk and I had checked a fitment or something on one of our Carbon X stocks, and I didn't torque the action screws, so that rifle was all over the place. So I'm sorry about that.
So good.
Damian shot so many rounds at the end, he was closing his eyes before the shot went.
I'm pretty sure I would have at least hit it.
I'm sure you would have, no doubt you would have, because it was completely unpredictable. So I'm sorry about that, China.
It is what it is.
Yeah. Okay, we'll have to
hit
do
and
what
miss.
we do.
Yeah.
Okay, Lekker, thanks again.
Thank you, brother.
And everybody, we'll see you in the next one. If this podcast was valuable to you at all, please make sure you share this with a friend. Share some good karma on somebody. Let's help them turn their lives around. And if you're into shooting and you're still watching this, thank you very much. You're very dedicated. Okay, gents, have a good one. See ya.
Legend.